got it all the way down. Whew. And that was fast. If you have a better way to do this, let me know, please. All ears. Hello, I'm the CNC repairman. Let's talk about spindle, belts, pulleys. This video, I kind of made it to help you replace your spindle belt, your pulleys, and your encoder if you're having issues. And if you want to just watch that, skip to the forward. But I think I need to talk about different pulleys, different belts, different machines, and kind of help everybody understand what's out there before I just dive into it. I'm the CNC repairman. For your spindle belts, I'm going to show you how the Niagara Falls tool operates. I talk to a lot of people who go, what belt is needed on my machine? What pulley is needed on my machine? Sometimes the answer is, you gotta send me a picture, you gotta take it apart. There's a lot of different stuff out there. I've ordered the wrong pulley, showed up with the wrong belt, or you think the machine is this, it's a D, or it's a B, or it's an SL, or an ST, or a VF, or there's 2 encoders and 2 sets of pulleys and belts. So with all of that out there, let's just talk about what's in front of me. Your most common mill belt, there's 3 of them. And lengthwise, you have a 225 millimeter, you have a 300 millimeter, and a 339 millimeter. The majority of mills are gonna use this middle belt, which is the part number 542125. Okay, that's what's gonna work on your mill that has a gearbox. That's what's gonna work on your mill that has a spindle drive, no vector drive, that looks like that. If you have an SL, it's probably gonna be this one here with a smaller inner diameter, or an ST might be bigger, but I've seen things, ugh. If you have a belt drive mill, it's probably gonna be this here pulley, sorry I don't have one, and this little guy. But the tricky thing is it could be that little guy, or that little guy, or like a mix mashup of everything that's here. So I thought I would talk about what each one is and help you understand. Then we'll talk about tools needed, how much of a hassle it is, why they end up ripping apart. Sometimes they're steel, sometimes they're aluminum. Why do they wear out? Let's say you're a fab shop and you've got 5 people grinding and welding. That's gonna get in between the belt and the pulley, and I'll show you a close-up of this. There's no teeth left. No wonder the tool changer arm is banging and the spindle teeth are nasty and the dogs are, or the tool changer comes in and the whole thing shakes because the orientation is off, because it's locked. But that's all involved. Tapping is involved with this. The spindle speed is involved in this. Basically, if you have a vector drive machine, you cannot run your machine without this belt. If you have a spindle drive, an old machine that has probably this or that, you might be able to run, but you shouldn't tap, and the RPM won't really read correctly. And if your load meter's pegging, like you just tell it to go 5,000 RPM and the load meter is just like way up there, it's because the belt's slipping and the machine is constantly thinking it's not at speed, so it sees a high load, so then it speeds up. And then it goes, oh, it's too fast, so then it slows down. I've seen these where you can see through them. I've seen these where there are no teeth on them. They're so floppy loose, I mean, they're just worn out, so you can do this, and so it goes to orientate, and the belt flops, and then the spindle goes, another one, if you're trying to engage the C-axis on your lathe, and so you have to orientate the spindle, then if you've taken one of these apart, if not, skip. The gear goes to engage and it goes clunk, and it goes clunk. It's probably because the motor's sitting there humming back and forth. An SL machine has 2 pulleys, one on the motor. I have an SL there, so I'm pointing at it. It has one on the motor and another one on the spindle. The spindle is this big one here, and it's totally different set of belts. So, sorry I'm being so frustrated, but hence the confusion. So, I like to make things simple. I'm really trying to help people. This is for an SL, okay? The SL, I'll tell you, is the big, it's like 0.899 bore, and it's this one here. Then it's the 339. If you're running an ST machine, or you're running a super speed mill, a lot of super speed mills out there. Boy, sidetrack, changing a super speed encoder pulley set, you gotta like reach down inside of the motor because it's way down in there. And it's dirty and your arms are black. That's that. Okay, mill gearbox vector drive, but not always. Mill gearbox, possibly vector drive or spindle drive. So this is, like I said, the 354-2125 belt. Okay, that's the same, but the super speed machines take a bigger belt and the SL and ST machines take a bigger belt. So let's do a quick overview and then I'll wipe it all away. Shot pin machine, probably small. Okay, shot pin machine is gonna be, I think, let me measure this. For this, there's only one, it's 375, okay? 300 millimeter, that guy. Now we're gonna talk about belt drive machine. This guy, but you can use this, but then you have to shift this. Keep an eye on our store, we'll come up with this, but it'll be longer. That's the smaller belt, that's 54-21-21, it's gone. 225 millimeter total belt length. Okay, so that one with this one, hopefully that makes sense. Now let's talk about gearbox with vector drive. Here's the output shaft of the vector drive. This is 750. This is a little under. This is an aluminum gear that's anodized. The anodize is a hard anodize to make it last a little longer. I don't know why they didn't hard anodize these. This one usually will last longer. I've seen these go bad before these. Hot plate, torch, either one works. I have, once I got one of these so hot, I went to put it on and the whole thing melted off. Don't do that. But you want it 400 degrees, it'll just drop right on. But you only get one chance to drop it on. And if you get it straight and crooked, pull it off fast and hope you have another one. We'll go over that later. That's how that goes. So, back to this. If it's the same gearbox, this fits right over that. So it's the same. Now there is some machines in the middle, like spindle drive, pre-vector drive, non-shot pin, that had a black riser that this little guy was on. Oh, I could take this off. So, like I said, there's a lot of machines out there. Yours, open up the head cover and look. We have a video about how to pull the head cover off without breaking anything. So this would then sit up here. Let's talk real quick about alignment. One pulley has the flanges, one does not. You can see this one's kind of used. So it sat kind of, the belt sat down here. There's nothing wrong with that. I've seen lots of machines. You can put, let's see, I've got two encoders here. So sometimes the shoulder is on the upside, sometimes the shoulder is on the downside, and there's room to move it. But sometimes the sweat-on pulley only goes so far, so you're gonna need to, like, when you pull it apart before you've ripped it off or cut it off like I did, judge, measure, get it close so that when this sits on its standoffs and this one's sweated on, things aren't crazy crooked and they're wearing on the flange. I'll let that be. You might have to flip the pulley. There's a set screw on there. Getting ahead of myself. SL, ST machines, just check. It's gonna be the bigger belt and either of these configurations. So we got, I'm trying to go over the major ones. Mini mills are usually, mini mills, tool room mills, we got VFs, SLs, STs, okay, there are VSs and the HS, there's some other stuff that's kind of oddball, like not super common, but let's say a mini mill, tool room mill, it's gonna be that pulley and it's gonna be, I think this one they sweat onto the top of the motor, but it could be this one on the encoder and that one sweated on the motor. I've seen both, so there's a lot of machines out there. So kits are available and you can purchase individual belts. I tell people, they go, I want a belt. What one? Buy all three. Well, buy two. You probably don't need the little one. It's pretty much for belt drive only machines. So kits are available, pulleys are available, belts are available. If you need gears too, we got those. This is available. We're available for service, help. The other thing that makes all this hard, why not? We'll talk about it. This is the gear shift assembly. We have a video about this and sell more parts. But guess where this stuff hides? Behind the spindle motor, like right there. And so you have to work inside of here. And then this sits right here. Loads of room, especially on a VF1 or a VF2. I have some customers that have a VF9 and oh, it's nice. The head cover moves out of the way and there's all this room. It's the same dimensions on the gearbox, but there's room up there to work. This for history, is an old Heidenhain, it's a glass encoder. If one of your machines has this, be gentle with it. It will break. I've really wrenched on these and they're pretty solid. I mean, don't break it, but you don't need to be as careful with this as you do with that. Removal. While this is all here, let's talk about removal. A little puller like this works really, really well for pulling these off of the encoders. I've had a hard time on these grabbing them. I got a penknife in there, I got a putty knife and kind of wiggled it out, heated it up. Make sure the set screw's all the way out. When you put it on, there are set screws on these. Put the set screw on the flat, please, because then it won't ding the shaft. And sometimes I'll take a little rat tail file and just clean this out. It's just so that it fits. Sometimes the shafts are all dinged up from pulling and getting crooked and they just have a hard time. These don't spin crazy fast and the set screw is going to hold it. So pullers for pulling those. These are really hard to pull. These are really hard to pull just because of so this would be on a motor like inside of a lathe or on an ST up high. This guy's going to be here on a few VF9 machines that I've done. I packed a bunch of rags that were wet around here and I got my torch in here with a glove. I didn't catch anything on fire. I had a fire extinguisher nearby. Heated it up, and then while you're heating it, so can't do this with 3 hands. While you're heating it, you can grab top, move the motor to rotate this, and then you can just pop it off with a leather glove. It'll be hot. If you're putting it back on, and I'll go over this, but up there I just wanted to do an overview so you see everything. Putting it on, you can either hot plate it. You can either hot plate it, which is the easiest, and it'll heat up, give it 20 or 30 minutes, or in a toaster oven, or you can just screwdriver, not your finger, and torch it. But you got to be careful because you can get them way too hot, way too quick, and they cool off really quick. Removal. These sweat on motor pulleys, so the 750 and the 890. If you're on an ST machine, it's hard. It's really hard. And this one's steel. Some of them are steel. You got to grind the shaft. You got to wedge in there with a screwdriver to try to separate it. You can try to torch it, but then that heats up the motor shaft so everything grows. Then you can grind it, or you can get a cutting wheel. This is nice and easy. So this one here, I had a really hard time pulling this off the last time. I have it here somewhere. I had to grind all the way through the shaft and all the way in there. Heating it wouldn't do it, and I don't have a puller that's big enough to pull that. So if you have a belt drive machine, it's difficult. Cutting these is not that bad. I usually cut it on one side, cut it on the other, and then put a screwdriver in. You can't avoid going all the way to the shaft, avoid it. This shaft is ground up top, but it's not necessary. The bearing sits here, so don't feel terrible if you scuff up this shaft pretty bad. It's still gonna fit. Your machine's gonna operate. I've scuffed up a few. Sorry to my customers. No difference. No one knows. It goes right over it. So, big overview, little overview. My machine here is a DC machine with a spindle drive, so it actually has this with this and that. So we're gonna go over replacing this and replacing that. Then I'll pull this and I'll go over sweating one of those on. That's gonna be the majority of the encoder replacements, unless you have like an SL, an ST. We'll go over that eventually. We have an SL here. That's motor, encoder, spindle, encoder, pulleys. Sorry for talking your ear off, but I wanted to give you the whole thing, lock, stock, and barrel. So let's work on the machine now. I'm up here on top of the machine, and I've got a lot of tools with me. Normally there's a whole bunch of trips up and down. I think I got it all. And we're gonna go over replacing the encoder, pulley, and belt. The belt is easy. Pull it out, put it in. The encoder pulleys is much harder, way harder. So a couple different things. You may have a machine with the orientation ring, or you may have a machine with a hot pulley. I'm gonna show you this in reverse because I wanna put it on and then we'll cut it off. That's basically the easiest way. I don't like normally taking this off because the spindle motors go through this cover, and I don't like taking this off because I have to disconnect all the hard copper lines. I've done a whole bunch in and out of here, and it would be easier if I had the sheet metal on. It's a little harder and tighter because I've got all this stuff. Hopefully this makes sense. This isn't an easy, quick service job. This is a more in-depth, more detail, more tools. So to start with, no matter what encoder pulley you have set up on your machine. If you have a belt drive, the encoder pulley is going to be over here. If you have a super speed, it's going to be here. And if you have a super speed, it's going to be a big pulley on the encoder, which is no different. We're going to pull it off. And if you have a super speed or say a lathe, they're going to have a sweat-on pulley that's just like this, but cut out. And you're going to have to cut that off with a vibrator tool like this. Or you can try to heat it with a torch like this. Or chisel it off. Or pull it off, but pulling it is not easy either, and neither is heating it. So usually it's cutting. A 90-degree die grinder might do it. That vibrator tool works pretty well. This is not easy. It might take me a day if I was out at a shop to pull everything off, to do this whole job, and to reset orientation. Enough talking. Let's get to work. Growing up, I would hear my dad talk about the technicians and them doing these type of jobs, and I'd hear bits and pieces on the phone, and then it was out on my own, well, doing it with another technician, training, and then it was eventually doing it on my own. And I've had a few hard goes of this. Sometimes it's a day or more if you're really fighting at it. So I've got a 5/64 Allen wrench. That's what I'm going to use to disconnect the set screw on this. And I'm going to look and, oh, come on. This encoder pulley, here's the replacement, is like this. And it's sitting flush with the top of the shaft. So I'm going to put it back on that way. Sometimes they're flipped, depending on the height of this or that on inside there. The belt will ride differently. Since this one has a bunch of room, we can get away with quite a bit. I'm going to pop these. And this encoder, these older style encoders can be more effort, I've found, to get the pulley off. You may have an encoder like this on your machine. It's smaller, it's the same encoder. It doesn't have a glass scale. That one you don't want to bang and drop. We'll just for kicks up, I don't know where this one was in our box of old parts. And it might come off really easy. Yeah, let's see here. Ooh, came right off, but it was tight. It's definitely tight. Let's see how easy that one comes off. I knew I would have forgotten the tool. I didn't bring a putty knife with me, but I don't know if we'll need it. Oh, hey, that one came off. All right, let's pretend it didn't come off, because if you're trying to get this done in a hurry, it's never gonna go well. So I got a little puller. Nothing fancy about this, just a standard. I've done it with a 2-claw puller, but a 3-claw I like better. Okay, that's not working. I was trying to pull a pulley off that had taper rings on a ball screw with a big double puller, and I was heating the pulley and heating, and I broke one of these, and the thing went flying across the room. That was scary. Glad it didn't hit me. Okay, a little bit further. Okay, this is gonna look too easy, but I'm demonstrating how to do it. It's always harder on camera. If your pulley doesn't want to come off, I just want you to know what I would do. And then now it's just gonna like butter off, but that's how you would do it. You have to get past the flanges, because the little, I'll show you, the little flanges will just, they're pressed on and they'll pull right off. So you've got to get inside of, I mean, we can just do this now, but oh, it's tighter than it looks. Yeah, it's tight. So it's coming right off. Okay, that one is off. So the flange, you can see this pulley's been on here a long time. It's worn pretty good. This flange right here, take it off, is just pressed on over the pulley after it's hobbed, and it'll pull right off. So if you just put the puller right here, it'll break and come right through. You've got to get it all the way underneath it on the edge there. They're not, I haven't had a terrible time getting these off. Inside here is a way bigger deal. So let's carry on with the replacement. New pulley, This old one doesn't have a flat spot on the shaft. And I see how easy it goes on. It's tight. Okay, and the one tool I forgot to bring up here was a little rat tail file and some Scotch-Brite, but you get the idea. Clean this up, this will slide right on, and we're just gonna pretend it's set screwed on. Hey, we can do the pretending on this one. But height might not be the right, so we'll have to adjust the height. Ooh. Yeah, I know somebody who does a 501 reamer, or 0.501 reamer. Ooh, video's hard. Anyhow, that'll go there. Moving on, you get the idea. This guy, right now there's one of these in there. And for the sake of ease, we're just gonna reach in here and drop this on and take it off. There's 2 set screws on the bottom of it and a keeper that holds it in the top. So let's see if I can reach in here. It's tight working in here. That one would be on, and if I had brought with me a screwdriver, don't think I did, but you could press it up like that, pull it off, and we could drop the new one on. Set screws go down. I don't know if I have those all the way out. I don't. That would be, and we'd screw the top screw in, and there's some friction on this, like just because of the weight of the gearbox and turning the whole motor. You could come in there with an Allen wrench and get the top of that. Then we'd, let's see, maybe I can press this up. Yeah, I think so. Wow, maybe not. Okay, so we're just gonna pretend like we are putting this right back together and gonna run the machine. There's a little bit of slop in the holes on this, so I'll usually put them in. We'll just go ahead and do that now, and then I'll pull it tight. It'd be no different if it was on that one. Now, if we were truly doing a machine exactly like this, with a little pulley and a shot pin, you would not need to redo orientation. The encoder is only used for tapping. The orientation for tool changes is set via the shot pin, and we haven't removed the shot pin. So I'm just gonna give it a little bit of pressure, and there's usually a ground strap that goes under one of these. I don't know where it is. And this encoder doesn't have a cable plugged in, but see, and kind of hear, some encoders have a spring assembly, and you'll loosen up 4 screws and it'll spring itself tight, and you'll push it in, slip the pulley over it and back. And now, here's my trick. If I can do it, maybe. Yeah, you can reach right up here and you can grab the, I don't think it's locked. I don't know what is going on. You can rotate this, move this a little bit over. You can, there, that's fine, that's fine. I don't know. You could rotate the spindle. Whatever's going on. I guess the shot pin's in. We've been doing a bunch of videos, this machine's in pieces. So, spin the spindle and you'll watch and see where that pulley goes. It'll go up and down the belt, and I just want to be sure that I've got it centered in the center. Okay, that is small pulley on a shot pin. Now we're going to replace this one, if there was this one, and we're gonna plop it on hot. That's the way to do it. And then we're gonna remove it, and we have to cut it off, or we have to heat it up, or we have to pull it off. There's no easy way to pull this, and I have it on a hot pad right now. You can heat them up with a well, this is a mapping gas torch, propane torch. MAP gas will go a little hotter, and I should probably plug that in, but I'm gonna make some room. First, I have to take off the orientation ring. So I might just do this real fast and then be right back. I got the shop pin orientation lock ring undone. I don't know what happened. I must have bumped it and the ring was in and I couldn't turn the spindle. Now I can reach over here and turn it. 4 bolts come out. To pull the lock ring, you might not have one, and this video isn't about that, but I'm talking about it. You need a, I think, 3/16 1/4-inch drive, and you want it to be that long because there's no other way, and you have to reach in here and grab them, and then reach it up top, and then turn it, and then unscrew it, and turn it and unscrew it. So, really handy to have some extensions for your 1/4-inch bit drive set. Our pulley's heating up. I'm going to pull this out. This wouldn't be part of a belt change. Oh, I lost a screw. But it would be part of servicing an old machine. So there's the shaft inside there. It's pretty clean. I'm going to drop this hot one on there. Now you can heat it up with a torch. I've got a torch here if you don't have a hot pad. This works pretty well. You can get it a little hotter. If you get it too hot, you will burn the anodizing off of it. And you want a temperature gun. Let's see. 375, 400. It's hot enough. It's aluminum. It doesn't need to be crazy hot. You're going to want a glove or two and have a hammer nearby. You get one shot. One shot to put this on. And if you mess up, you better quick pull it off and heat it up again because you don't have a lot of room. And it's even harder to reach inside there. Let's hope I don't burn through my gloves. But pick this up, drop it over the shaft, and it cools really quickly. It's on. Don't put the belt on it for a few minutes. Then you'd put the other pulley on, and we'll do it. So let's see if I can get it. I usually like to have a little something to just bump it on, and you'll hear it thud. This machine is small. Some of them you can remove this other stuff, but let's just see. Here I go. I'm already feeling tingly, and I do this all the time. Okay, got it in my hand. Got it all the way down. Whew! And that was fast. Okay, that's how fast you have to go. It almost didn't go down. Just grab it quick, put it on, and wiggle it down, wiggle it down. If I turn it, there's no run out in it. It's on. So to finish the job, we've already gone over this. I'd put the pulley, well, they would be replaced. I'd put the encoder on. I'd tension this just in the little holes. In this case, you'd have to set spindle orientation. There's a video about that. And that would be that. I can unplug this hot plate now because it's hot. Oh, okay. Nothing like working on a tight spot. So let's talk about removing it. I know this is after the fact, but it's the way it's set up. You could try, I've done this once, packed in a bunch of rags in here, heated it, rotated the gearbox, and popped it up. That only really worked once. You can't really put a puller on it. Like I said, it's a bunch of extra work to just take everything off to get to it. This is not an easy service job. So, you cut them off. I know that sounds kind of rough, but it's how it's done. And if you can't reach it with like a 90-degree grinder or something, you can use one of these. And I'll chisel my way in with this. I can disconnect that. And then I'll rotate it 180 and chisel my way in, and then go in with a hammer and try to separate it. So, let's see. And like I said, all sorts of issues can be caused if you don't do this. Wow. Let me fix that. Okay. And deal with that. And getting ready. If you have a better way to do this, let me know. Please. All ears. I forgot. I gotta pull standoffs. At least the first two. Some of the old ones just had set screws in the bottom of the standoffs. Let's see what's in here. Yep. And that set screws upside down. It's not drilled all the way through. Let's see. That ain't gonna work either. Welcome to service. Okay, get one step closer. Here we go. It's getting there. I made a little dent. We're gonna keep going. I'm gonna try not to hit the shaft, but if I do, I won't cry. I think I touched it. Okay, I'm gonna do a flip 180. And in my case and in yours, it could be hot, so I wouldn't recommend touching it. Reach in here, grab the belts. Okay, here we go again. I'll wipe up all this aluminum dust. This is why you call a service tech. There's no teeth left on that. Not from this. It's no teeth from the last time I used it and didn't get a new one. Okay, round 3, round 4, let's do it. It's going, not easy. If you get the chance to buy finer tooth one, I would recommend it. Try that one. Usually I'll go to a hardware store and buy a brand new one of these on my way to a job, but I didn't have time today. We're gonna try to whack it, see if it'll come out. Big flat screwdriver. There it is. Sometimes you can just twist them. We'll try it from the other side. That one I got deeper in. When someone says you don't need a bigger hammer, they're wrong. If you're a CNC tech, you do. There, it's kind of, if you heard that, the noise changed. And boom. So don't touch the thing, it's hot. Made that mistake before. Check it out. Now normally the old one would be totally worn. The teeth here would be gone. I'd show you how to put a new one on, but I just did. That's hot still, but it doesn't matter. That's how you remove it. And I just showed you how to put a new one on, but kind of in reverse order. Whether you have a shot pin with a lock ring, whether you have a small one. I have seen these small ones on black. standoffs here without this. No different removal, no different installation. Whether you have a small on a new encoder or an old encoder, whether you have a big pulley on a new super speed and you're working inside of here, it's the same process. I want to just be sure you understand. I cleaned things, I got things out of the way, I paid attention to the way things were taken apart, the height of things. I think the only thing that we didn't check with this one when it was in there is the belt. So if the belt was on here, and since this has a keeper, it would kind of hold the belt. So if it was riding really low, I'd flip this over and I'd bring it up, or if it was riding way up, you get the idea. I don't want to over talk it. You need to check the position of the belt on the pulleys because it's going to be up here a long time. When I go to work on a machine, I know that when I leave, that machine has to run with no problems. Everything up here better be good, and if it doesn't, they're going to call me back. So I wire tie everything up. I be sure 100% I'm satisfied this machine's going to run unattended for a year or 2 or 5 before I have to come back. And usually when I come back, it's a new problem, but thinking that way, I'm in here, I'm going to do my best job and make sure that there's no possible errors that I have left. And that's just kind of a good practice, whether you're doing a machining or you're working on something for somebody. That's how it's done. That's also how we operate the parts business. If somebody needs a part, we're going to make sure they get the right part. So if you need a part, if you need a belt, you need a pulley, give us a call. We want to make it right. We want to help you by making these videos and giving you some good, affordable parts. Don't pay outrageous prices for things. So give us a call and hope you enjoyed the video.
Moral at OnlyFans.
Okay, so a side story. You might want this for the video. I bought CNCrepairman.com 4 or 5 years ago, long time ago, and forgot about it. It was on some cheap domain page. Let it go. Talked to my webman a few years later. Went, oh, I used to own that. Buy it. No joke. It was an X-rated porn site. No kidding. From China. We looked it up. Some CNC repairman was getting it on, man. And so we put in for the auction, and like 6 months later, we paid $400 to some broker, and we got it back. But that was my website. Okay, real work.